The Pope arrived in Slovakia early Sunday afternoon.
Let's take a look at the Pope's recent visit to Slovakia. Church suffers temptation to go backward, Pope tells Jesuits in Slovakia. Now, the Jesuits are an order within the Catholic Church, and some people think they are very influential and powerful in the world. How true that is, I'm not sure. But the Catholic Church apparently suffers from a temptation to attempt to return to attitudes and practices of the past. This is according to the Pope. An attitude that blocks pastoral outreach to many of those who are marginalized. Pope Francis told Jesuits in Slovakia, and I believe the Jesuits are also known as the Society of Jesus. We are suffering this today in the church, the ideology of going backward. It is an ideology that colonizes minds. It is a form of ideological colonization. So that's interesting that he's using the word colonization as being a very negative thing. And it reminds me of liberation theology, which is a very left-wing school of thought within the Roman Catholic Church, which is very much resistant to imperialism and colonialism. He also said the purpose of 2015 Synod of Bishops on the family was to make it understood that couples in second unions are not already condemned to hell. So traditionally, within the Roman Catholic Church, divorce is forbidden, and they take the verse in the New Testament when Jesus says, "What God has united, let no one divide." They take that literally, and that's of course why King Henry VIII couldn't get divorced and had to invent a new church, because the Catholic Church was so strict against divorce. But now this Pope, and the Pope is meant to be infallible, remember, is saying that couples in second unions are not definitely condemned to hell. So he's being very lenient on people that get divorced and remarry. This is the evil of this moment, namely to seek the path in rigidity and clericalism, which are two perversions. So he's obviously a very liberal Pope. He is not wanting to cling to these old traditions. As is customary when the Pope meets Jesuits during a foreign trip, a transcript of his remarks was released weeks later by the Jesuit Journal. "I didn't know there were so many Jesuits here in Slovakia," the Pope said. "The plague is spreading everywhere." That's strange that he'd make a joke about a plague. He seems like a very liberal and progressive Pope, but at one point they asked him about his criticism of gender theory, and the Pope warned that the ideology always has a diabolical appeal, which must be exposed. And he said that gender theory is dangerous because it is abstract with respect to the concrete life of a person, as if a person could decide abstractly, at will, if and when to be a man or a woman. So although he's very progressive, very modern, doing away with the old traditionalism of the Catholic Church, he still says if you're born a man, you're a man, and if you're born a woman, you're a woman. Well, that's what I gather from this. When I talk ideology, he said, I'm talking about the idea, the abstraction in which everything is possible, not about the concrete life of people and their situation. Pope Francis was also asked about how he deals with criticism against him by people who look at you with suspicion without naming it. The Pope said there was a large Catholic television channel that has no hesitation in continually speaking ill of the Church. I thought if you were a Catholic, you can't criticize the Pope because he is infallible. Or is that only when he speaks from the chair? And he has also encouraged priests to go out and learn Spanish, because a lot of new priests apparently want to say the Mass in Latin, which used to be the way before the Second Vatican Council, and now Masses are said in local languages in each country. But they want to go back to saying it in Latin. He's saying no, learn Spanish first of all, because there might be a lot of Spanish speakers in your parish, or learn Vietnamese. There's a lot of Catholics in Vietnam. Maybe you would want to go and do some pioneer work over there. So it seems that he's a very practical Pope. Modern, but not too modern. And he's recommending that you all learn another language. It's a strange thing that happened at the Second Vatican Council, the changes that were made in the Roman Catholic Church, and this transition from saying the Mass in Latin to saying it in local languages. And that's the transition that the Protestants made 500 years before that in the Reformation, when people wanted a Bible in a language that they could understand. So it's almost like the Catholic Church is finally catching up with the Reformation, having resisted it for so long. They have modernized, but there are Catholic people, traditionalists, who want to go back to the ways before the Second Vatican Council, which was only in the, I think, early part of the 20th century. So we're less than 100 years since that change, and there are people that still want to go back to those times. Let me know what you think. What direction is the Catholic Church going in? Are they headed for ecumenicalism? Are they headed for a one world religion where we'll all be the same, where people of many different faiths could worship at the same altar? Some people notice that direction in the new Catholic Church and they're a little bit resistant to it. Let me know what you think about that.